then push a little farther east out into the Atlantic.
CBS News Brief. I'm Deborah Rodriguez.
From Mason City to your hometown, we've got the information you need. Turn us on at home, work, and in the car. AM 1300 KGLO.
7:32 here on your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO, and I would like to welcome back to the airwaves of KGLO a native of North Iowa who is going to be doing a program starting on Monday here on our airwaves. Jesse Allen is back with us today and back with us on the radio here on KGLO. Jesse, thanks a lot for joining us here this morning.
Absolutely, Bob. Well, and it's great to hear your voice again, and congrats on the move back to AM 1300 KGLO. It's I feel like everything is right in the world when Bob Fisher is on AM 1300 in North Iowa. So, no, it's great to be back on the air with you again here this morning, and excited for what we're bringing on Monday, Bob.
Yeah, and before we talk about the program that you were doing, let's obviously some people may remember when you were here on KGLO being a farm director and doing a little sports and doing a little news as well off and on. And but for those who may not be familiar with you, maybe just a quick background of, you grew up in Marble Rock, the Marble Rock area, and you went on from there.
So, folks may not remember, started my radio career here at KGLO, which this is kind of a full circle thing for me with us bringing Agriculture of America on the air. Started with you guys fresh out of college in 2013 and spent a lot of years, 7-8 years, I believe, about 7, I think, 7.5, I guess we'll call it. Farm director, sports, was doing mornings on 93.9 The Country Moose, a sister station down the hall. And obviously, North Iowa's home to me. It's a big part of my life and everything else. And, when the pandemic hit, I hit a point where a lot of folks know as well that I'm a singer, songwriter, musician. And I said, I think the time is just now to go to Nashville. I said I was going to step away from radio and everything else and really wanted to push my artist and songwriting career. And I still am, definitely. But it was one of those things where I was out for maybe a 3-month vacation, so to speak, from the radio industry and said, well, I'm going to start a podcast because I like talking about the markets. And so I started a podcast called Market Talk, which eventually led to a phone call from a company headquartered in North Dakota that said, hey, we need a farm director. My first response was, well, I don't want to move to North Dakota. It's colder than Iowa. So, and I had, just really established some roots in the Middle Tennessee area and had recently met who is now my wife. And so it was one of those things where I knew with technology, I could make it work, happy to hop on a plane when needed, travel to events. And it really just kind of grew from there. I started mainly just doing markets and farm news. And eventually the program Agriculture of America that is run by the same company, the seat came open for a host. And as things naturally progressed, and they kind of looked around and they said, Jesse, we think you might be the right person for this job. And so that's kind of been the natural progression. And I will say, it coming back to when I left KGLO, I truly didn't think I was going to be in radio again. But I think, Bob, you could agree, folks in radio, a lot of times we think we're walking away and we get pulled back in some way, shape, or form, don't we, Bob?
I guess. I mean, obviously I went through my ordeal, being let go here and then, ending up with the competition downtown and then, Connoisseur Media buying this company and kind of making things right at this point, at least getting things back to somewhat normal back here on KGLO. Before we talk about the program in detail here, you mentioned North Dakota was too cold for you, but Nashville has not been exactly the balmy spot in the United States this week, has it?
No, it's been a severe ice storm down here. Nashville and Middle Tennessee was pretty much in the bullseye. I know I was without power for about 72 hours. There are still 50, 60,000 people without power down here in the metro area. And it's just one of those things where the infrastructure is not built to withstand ice storms. Now, being from Marble Rock, I've lived through 5 or 6 ice storms, so I'm fully prepared to deal with what's going to come from that. But just thankful that I got power back. Thinking of I got family, in-laws at my house right now. They don't have power back, so it's we're getting by this week. I did some broadcasting from the cab of my truck Monday and Tuesday. Cell signal and a laptop and a power outlet and a headset can go a long way, as you know, Bob. So it's been a mess down here, and so saying a prayer for folks, and hopefully power gets restored. But it's gonna be cold this weekend too for Mid-South standards. We're talking teens and single digits again. So shut the freezer door up that way if you can, Bob. We'd appreciate it.
Well, it's going to warm up here a little bit later next week, but we've had our share of cold up here. So we're all, we've had snow. Yeah, obviously we've had, it's been a little bit, after a couple of mild winters, we were spoiled, I think, but I think that's usually the cycle that happens up here in North Central Iowa, that we kind of get spoiled with a couple of good winters, and then all of a sudden Mother Nature reminds us of what winter is supposed to be all about here in North Central Iowa.
And I remember those drives into the station, 4 in the morning, foot of snow in a little 4-door car before I had a pickup truck, and there was some fun trips in from over by Marble Rock and Rockford. That's for sure, Bob.
Jesse Allen joining us here on KGLO this morning as the former KGLO farm director, now the host of a program that we're going to be running starting on Monday called Agriculture of America. And just kind of give us a full overview of what people can expect when they listen to this program.
Absolutely. Well, it's hour-long conversation is kind of how I like to frame it up, and really diving in on a whole host of topics that impact agriculture across the country, and everything from corded soybeans to wheat, cotton, sorghum, canola, you name it. We're having a lot of conversations about a variety of commodities, livestock, of course, as well. It's a heavily policy-focused show. I will say that. I will talk with senators, congressmen, and women, representatives from commodity organizations across the country and around the world also. I mean, we try to stay up to date on issues globally that impact U.S. agriculture, everything from Capitol Hill to Main Street, essentially. And, I've really tried to expand the amount of people I have on the show. You'll hear some recurring names and folks that jump in, weekly or bi-weekly for conversations, but really try to expand and get the full picture of what's going on with American agriculture. And it's, again, so many different folks that you'll hear, and just different topics, and hopefully things that will make people think a little bit about different aspects of agriculture that they may not know of, or hopefully just keep them informed on, hey, what's going on with the Farm Bill? What's going on with year-round E15? What's happening with tariffs and trade? Or how about the markets? Why did we see a big drop of the market yesterday, or a big rally, that kind of thing? Weather, we'll feature Weather Weekly with DTN meteorologist John Baranek. There's just a lot of ground we cover, a lot of interesting conversations, Bob. And for me, it's been a journey to adjust to going from short form market reports to, okay, I'm hosting a talk show. And so, it's a little bit of a different flow for me, but it's been a challenge that I've loved so far, and looking forward to bringing those conversations back home to folks there in North Iowa.
Well, and one of the things when we started talking about bringing your show onto the air was the history of this radio station, and there's still a lot of people involved in agriculture in North Central Iowa that listen to this radio station, and we've been throwing the idea around of not only your show, of course, which starts on Monday, but definitely some other programs that we may implement in the future to fill some spots in the programming lineup. Because once again, as you know, agriculture obviously drives a lot of the economy here still in North Central Iowa.
Absolutely. Well, and it's everyone from the local folks. Like I remember always talking to Iowa State Extension, there in surrounding counties to Mason City and whatnot. And I still talk to a few of those Iowa State Extension folks on AOA from time to time. But it's everyone from right there at home to Capitol Hill and beyond. And there's so many stakeholders in agriculture, and I've learned more things at this point about different commodities as well that have an impact, that have a stake in say a farm bill than I think I ever cared to know. So it's you're right, agriculture is such a fabric of rural America, and especially I know back there in North Central Iowa. And I'm just excited to bring the conversation back to KGLO. And like I said, it's kind of a full circle moment for me. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for, KGLO taking a chance on me back in 2013. And, I learned a lot from you, Bob, and Mr. Fleming and Joe Malone and so many people in that building. It's kind of a full circle moment for me, and I'm excited to get started next week. And we're going to have a lot of info next week as well with cattle industry convention and a market conference and so much more. There's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to be broadcasting live from next week, which you'll hear some of that stuff throughout time on the program as well. I won't always be in studio. So,
and like you mentioned, some of the the biggest topics right now that I know are on the topic for farmers, obviously, like you mentioned, Farm Bill, which has been that can's been kicked down the street a few times, and E15, of course, that's an ongoing issue, and of course, the ethanol industry here in the pipeline that they're trying to get figured out that situation with and the next thing that's going to happen, sustainable aviation fuel, trying to get that as into the pipeline per se. I hate to use that word in the pipeline, as that's such a controversial issue with the Summit carbon solution pipeline. But those are things that are not just issues here. I'm sure they're issues you find throughout the nation. Absolutely. Well, and I will dive into a lot of those controversial issues from time to time as well. But my whole goal on that is to, let's try to get both sides of this conversation. I want to understand what's happening so people can then make up their own mind as they try to hear the whole story. I think that's the best thing that I can do. But to your point, the eminent domain conversations, it remains such a hot topic. I know it's an issue, and it's one of those things that we'll explore a lot on AOA. And like you said, the Farm Bill, I mean, I think we're going on year 8 or 9 of a 5-year Farm Bill. I've lost count at this point. And yeah. And so it's one of those things where we just try to stay up to date on the issues. And from time to time, I get things sent to me that I go, I didn't know this was going on, but I'd love to talk about it. So I will say this too, if there's folks in, listening in that think there's an issue that needs to be addressed on a program like Agriculture of America, love to hear about it, see if it fits what we're doing, everything else. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to be a voice for farmers and ranchers and keep the conversation going for American agriculture. And, that's all we can do day in and day out. All right. Any final thoughts before we let you go? I'd just say I'm excited, happy to be back on the airwaves there on KGLO every weekday at 11:06, and looking forward to being a small part of the team again there, Bob, and
really just thankful and excited. And like I said, it's a bit of a full circle thing for me. So I hope folks tune into AOA and enjoy the conversations that we're going to bring their way starting on Monday.
All right. Sounds good. Jesse, welcome back to the KGLO and the radio station. And we appreciate you taking some time out this morning to preview what's going to be coming up with your program.
Absolutely. Bob, thanks so much for the time. And we'll look forward to talking again soon.
All right. Jesse Allen, Agriculture of America, here starting Monday at 11 a.m. here on your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO. Sports comes your way next.